Nostalgia.
So there's this film that I have in my mind that's very deep that I watched when I was a little bitty kid, single digits, probably 4 years old. I think it was before I started school. And I remember watching this movie because it was the first thing that held my attention span from beginning to end, like an hour and a half, like a movie's supposed to do. And it was funny. It was comedic. It fell in line with some of the cartoons and stuff I was watching at the time. And I remember this because it was watched over and over and over again by me. And after Kirk Douglas' death, I was like, I remembered he played in it, you know. And it's kind of the, you know, I guess I grasped that idea through my preteens and teens or something. But I haven't watched this movie since probably 4 or 5 years old. I know since I started school, I haven't watched the film. So I finally found it, purchased it on DVD because you can't stream it. And that movie is The Villain, right? Starring Kirk Douglas, Ann-Margret, and Arnold Schwarzenegger from 1979. Basically, it's kind of like a cartoonish type film because he's kind of like Wile E. Coyote and everything backfires onto him. And he's like, let me read exactly what this says on IMDb. It says, facing hanging, a bank robber makes a deal with the corrupt banker to avoid execution in exchange for a dirty assignment. So basically what I'm gathering is that Kirk Douglas has to complete an assignment so he doesn't get hung. Okay. And it's got a long description of the film in the back. But the point is, this could be very well be a super cheesy film. I don't know. But I want to revisit a lot of these films from my childhood that I haven't watched since. But I remember kind of watching them, having a little bit on repeat or something, and watching them now. I was born in 82, I'm 37, and watching them now, revisiting those, and seeing if nostalgia played a part, and that's really standing out in my mind, and it's kind of terrible, or if it's good, and you should watch it. So I kind of want to start this series, and we're going to kick it off with The Villain. This is the first film I remember watching from beginning to end that got me into film to begin with. So I'm kind of super excited, still into plastic, about to open it and watch it for the first time and give my review of it. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I just got done with The Villain, and nostalgia played an extreme part of this movie. I could see how a 4-year-old would really like it because of it's terrible. It's like normally I grade a film in 0.5 increments. So there's like 20 points that exist in a 1 to 10 score. Man, this would be like a 0.5 or a 1 now. Like if I went to go see it, it'd be like, it's 1979. A 63-year-old Kirk Douglas, by the way, died at 103. So 63 years old doing what he did in this movie is pretty crazy. He didn't do his own stunts by no means. You could clearly see whenever the stunt guys kicked into gear. And you could see when the helpers of the stunt guys kicked into gear too, because sometimes you can see their legs. Like there's a boulder scene where it's like rolling after Kirk Douglas, and after it rolls over him and imprints him into the ground, you see the boulder and like legs on the other side of the boulder. There's a lot of stuff like that. The first 10 minutes, you're like, this is setting up to something pretty decent. I was excited. I laughed once where, I don't even want to tell you the same, but it's like the first 10 minutes where he's trying to escape out of this place and something stops him from doing it, and I laughed at that. But it kind of stopped after that. It was straight downhill. I mean, it's like a cartoon they tried to make into a film. And I'm wondering, 1979, I think it's 74, was Blazing Saddles, I think. Don't hold me to that. But it seems like they tried to piggyback off the possible fame of that film or something and tried to do their own thing, but they really took from cartoons, like completely. There was no agenda, no purpose of the film. Matter of fact, it just ends for no reason. There's no reason for anything to take place in this film at all. The first 10 minutes or whatever is fine, but whenever he goes off on this journey to actually kill Arnold Schwarzenegger, when Kirk Douglas goes after this journey to, I guess, kill Arnold Schwarzenegger and take Ann-Margret because he keeps saying how he wants to ravage her. And there's a lot of old terms and old weird thinking. There's some Indians in here, which are really Hollywood for that time, which is weird as well, which is, I guess, more weird than I could imagine. Because, like, the chief, when you first see the horse that he rides, he has a swastika painted on the chest of the horse. It's just really weird. And there's a lot of scenes just for the sake of scenes. Like, they went into this with an idea, and the idea was in, like, the first 10 minutes. And then everything after that is just jump cut scenes of Wile E. Coyote trying to catch Roadrunner. You know what I mean? It's like we can have a boulder. We can have bouncing off a cliff surface from a rope. We can have falling from a rope. We can have, you know, all these different things that Wile E. Coyote does in these cartoons. There was no originality. There was no anything written out. Jump cuts galore. One-shot takes, obviously. There's one scene where Arnold gets out of the wagon and Margaret's there, and I think her scarf catches on his pants or something like that and almost pulls it off of her. She's reaching to grab her scarf back while trying to maintain character, probably assuming that they're going to reshoot that scene. But they didn't. They left that in there. So it's just a lot of stuff like that where it's like one cuts or one take scenes. And it's super clear, like, there's no attempt. It was just an idea. Don't spend any money. I think it was like a $5 million budget, 9 point something million, close to 10 million box office. Doubled their money, I guess. Who knows how much they spent on advertising. But it had to be embarrassing for Kirk Douglas to see this film, because the way it ends is just insane. It makes no sense. The only thing that makes sense is like first 10 minutes, but it's crazy. Like, if I had to give a score, 0.5 out of 10, because I stopped counting. I tried to keep up with it. Normally when I go see a film, I try to keep up with the 0.5 deductions for major things that pop out into my head, and I'm like, okay, this is a good, honest score, I feel like. I never sit there after a film and go, I think, it feels like a 6, maybe 7 out of 10. You see a lot of reviewers do that, and I'm confused by their technique of grading movies, I guess, because are you going off a gut instinct from 1 to 10, or did you actually add something up to get to that score? Because I always try to add something up, but whatever. But this film sucks, and it's a 1979 classic, I guess it could be, but I don't know if you should even pay anything for it. So if you do, I don't think you'll ever see it for free available. I don't think you'll ever see it available, so the only way you would see it is if you bought it. But if you just want to watch something that's, wow, this is crazy how this get made, then yeah, spend $8, $5 on the DVD, because the DVD actually looks pretty good, because the trailer, the quality of it, the trailer for the original film looks like muddied up garbage from 1979. I saw it's on YouTube, like one trailer exists, and that's it for the thing on YouTube or something. So yeah, this has been my review of The Villain. Like, it's pretty neat to revisit something, and there was a lot of scenes in that I remember from childhood. But I remember, like, certain things, like where he paints a tunnel onto the side of a cliff face, or the side of a wall of a mountain. And I remember that scene of him painting, and I remember the scene of him getting stuck in glue, and I remember the scene of the boulder rolling over and him his body into the ground, pressed in the soil there or whatever. But I remember stuff like that, and I just assume it's a great thing, but it just doesn't make sense. It's just jump cut, jump cut, jump cut, and nothing at all helps to stitch anything together from scene to scene. It's just scenes to scenes, shot on a back lot, an obvious back lot, like no attempts. It was crazy to see Kirk Douglas go from Spartacus or something to The Villain. This is just crazy film, crazy sucky. So make sure to explode on that subscribe button and ding that bell so you get notified on the next old film that I review from nostalgia times and hoping that it's still good today. But the first one is a definite nope, so I'm very interested to see the journey that I'm going to go on these films, because there's been a lot of movies through my life, and I'm going to try to catch all the ones that stand out to me from my childhood, preteens, teens, stuff like that. See ya.